A warehouse on the outskirts of Kiev was engulfed by fire after Russia launched a massive missile and drone attack on the Ukrainian capital. At least 15 people were killed and dozens more were wounded in the overnight attack on Kiev and the surrounding region. Kiev's military administration says the assault struck residential buildings and several warehouses, sparking extensive fires and causing widespread damage. Ukraine has since conducted long-range strikes targeting infrastructure inside Russia. In recent weeks, it has also stepped up attacks on warehouses belonging to the Russian e-commerce giant Wildberries. News Central's senior international correspondent Afua Hagan now joins us for more on this. Afua, this is very alarming. First, bring us up to date. At least 17 people have been killed in Kiev and the surrounding region. What is the latest now, and could the death toll continue to rise?
This figure from President Zelensky is that 17 people have been killed and 44 injured during that major overnight Russian missile and drone attack on Kiev and the surrounding regions. Now, those numbers have been going up and down all morning because it is an evolving picture, but at the moment, it's thought that the injured could rise to more than 50. So the attack involved 115 drones. I think those were the ones that caused the most damage, but 24 Iskander-M or S-400 ballistic missiles were also used, as well as Onyx anti-ship missiles. So Russians say that they were targeting places like warehouses, logistics facilities, and other businesses. That's what was damaged, but enormous damage around the capital. In central Kiev, rescuers pulled 2 people from the remains of a destroyed warehouse. An ambulance driver was also amongst those injured as well. Now, Russia says it targeted these logistics and supply centers that were being used for military purposes, but Ukraine says that civilian businesses and infrastructure was also struck. There's also warnings that there's continued Russian drone activity across other regions, including Odessa. So perhaps the death toll could also rise and the number of injured people could also rise too.
Now, Ukraine says it intercepted many drones, but none of the missiles. Is Russia exploiting a dangerous gap in Kiev's air defenses?
Oh, absolutely. I think it seems like we are now getting to a phase in the war where Ukraine has this dangerous military vulnerability. You know, they've been asking for a long time that they need more missiles, more air defense systems. Ukraine says it suppressed 98 out of those 115 drones, but failed to intercept any of the 28 missiles. And that's a really striking contrast, where in the past, Ukraine still has considerable ability to deal with drones, especially the slower ones, but it's becoming increasingly exposed when it comes to those fast ballistic missiles. And they're particularly difficult to stop because they travel at such high speeds and follow a very steep trajectory. So unless you have specific armory to stop those missiles, then you're going to be in trouble. So the Ukraine's main defense is the US-made Patriot system, particularly those PAC-3 interceptors. But the Ukrainians are saying that the stocks of those interceptors are particularly low, and they've been asking for a while that they need more capability to be able to deal with those missiles. So absolutely, Russia are truly flaunting that gap in their capability at the moment.
All right, now with Ukraine striking targets inside of Russia and Moscow, accused of deliberately targeting civilians, are the drones increasingly defining this war?
Yes, I think they are at the moment. I think they're defining the war on every single level, from frontline combat to deep strikes to economic warfare, intimidation of civilians. Everything that's happening is happening because of drones. I mean, there is a video that's going viral where Russia are being accused of a war crime because you have this drone that's particularly targeting this Ukrainian businessman who was selling something. The drone was literally following around as he was trying to get away from it, and eventually crashed into a van that he hid behind. You know, these drones, whether they're coming from Ukraine or from Russia, are really, really the story of this war at the moment. And Ukraine has dramatically expanded its long-range campaign inside Russia, and those drones have repeatedly attacked oil facilities, airfields, Russia's equivalent of Amazon wildberries, like you mentioned, their warehouses have been targeted as well. Nearly 20 wildberry sites have been targeted since the 20th of July. So yes, absolutely, when it comes to drones, they're increasingly becoming the headline of this war.
All right, News Central senior international correspondent and anchor Afua Hagan giving us an update on the Ukraine war. Would have been nice to know what the gains are for both parties, but we don't have much time. But in the meantime, thank you, Afua, for the update, and we'll definitely circle back.